Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday night live stream for studentloanjustice.org. I am Alan Collins, founder of Student Loan Justice. We are the oldest, largest, and pretty much only true citizens grassroots group fighting for student loan justice. We've been around since 2005. We've been featured on 60 Minutes, New York Times, Los Angeles Times, NPR, PBS, many other places. For the first 15 years of our existence, we were fighting very moderately for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. But I am here to tell you, folks, that as I'm speaking to you right now, this is now a failed, catastrophically failed lending system. And in this time of pandemic, the loans have to be canceled. The lending system is toast. It's finito. It's over the cliff. It needs to be taken to the bath and drowned in the tub. So I'm very happy to report that we were way ahead of the curb on this. We started calling for the president to cancel student loans by executive order over a year ago, like last August of 2019 was when we first started talking about this publicly. We started a petition on change.org in March, again, before any of the zeitgeist was talking about canceling student loans by executive order. It's a very important distinction. So I'm very glad to report to you tonight that we've got 740,000 signatures on our petition, which is good. But what is really good is that about 7 weeks ago, Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer introduced a Senate resolution calling for exactly what we've been calling for months and months and months. Federal student loan cancellation by executive order. Now, there's a big distinction to be made here, folks. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, many other presidential candidates, they were calling for the cancellation of student loans, but they were calling for cancellation through Congress. Even Joe Biden was like, yeah, I want to cancel student loans, and here's how I'm going to pay for it. Now, that is the rub, folks. Any loan cancellation plan that goes through Congress has to be paid for. So in order to cancel $1 trillion in student loans, Congress has to raise a tax or cut other programs or somehow come up with $1 trillion to pay for loan cancellation. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you that is just nonsense. 85% of all student loans were already paid for by the taxpayer many years ago. And they really did not pay that much, by the way, I should say. Of the $1.5 trillion in outstanding student loan debt, probably a third or less is actual unpaid principal. So most of that huge number that we hear about all the time, $1.6 trillion, quite frankly, it's over $2 trillion, but whatever. The vast majority of that $1.5 trillion is not original principal. It is interest and penalties and fees and so forth. So the president, it turns out, has all the executive authority needed to, and the Secretary of Education, to cancel all federally owned student loans, which is 85% of all student loans. He can do this by executive order. He can do it without needing approval, and more importantly, without an appropriation from Congress. So this doesn't need to be paid for. The taxpayers already paid for these loans. They don't need to pay twice. And by the way, all of the plans that we have heard about, the taxpayer would be paying far more than twice because they'd be paying for the original amount plus the principal plus interest plus blah, 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 blah. So that's just nonsense. And I am just thrilled to be here tonight telling you all that finally our concept has been appropriated, and it is being very seriously debated in the public square as we speak. So good on us, folks. That started here with our petition, more importantly, with the hard work of our 50 state chapter leaders and our hundreds of thousands of members across the country. This kind of stuff does not happen in a vacuum, folks. It takes a lot of effort. Yours, mine, our state chapter leaders, It takes a very big village to move this kind of a mountain. And so, while we certainly cannot rest, I hope that you all are happy, pleased, and hopefully encouraged that we have gotten this far as of today. And by the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. I'm very happy to respond to them in situ. Far better that than being talking head. If you're joining us on YouTube, I'm sorry. We don't do YouTube Live. We only do Facebook Live. So if you come to our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/SLJ group, then you can see our live streams around maybe between 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern time most nights. So folks, we're kicking ass. That's pretty much the gist of tonight's live stream. We published an article yesterday at the Angry Bear blog. I encourage you all to read it. One important announcement. If you look over there, or look down there, depending on how you're watching this, you will see the link to our town hall meeting on Friday. So it's going to be us, me, Matt Taibbi of Rolling Stone. You may have heard of him. Catherine Austin Fitz, who's just a dynamite woman and a former board member of Sallie Mae, like the worst company in the world on student loans. And I said former board member. She's no longer a board member. And she has got quite some interesting things to say. I would encourage you to check it out. Also, Tom Borgers is going to be with us on the town hall. Tom has been featured top story on 60 Minutes. Tom was the lead federal investigator into the subprime home mortgage crisis. And thankfully for us, Tom has turned his attention to federal student loans. And he's also got some very interesting things to say on this topic. And by the way, that's another announcement I have. If you have Parent Plus loans, and you're willing to be interviewed, Tom and his team would like to interview you about your experiences with Parent Plus loans. So whether you have them or your parents have them, Tom would like to hear from you. You can send him an email. His email is tborgers, TBORGERS, 98 at yahoo.com. And I will type that down in the margin in the comments as well. But yeah, it's tborgers98 at yahoo.com. And Tom is no Yahoo, don't get me wrong. He should really get a Gmail email. But anyways, so do that. I think you all will be very pleased with this town hall. It's going to be it's going to be very strong. Let's just put it that way. Other announcements. Man, so much is going on right now, guys. I have to tell you, it's a really good problem to have. We're very busy in a good, constructive way, not like pretending to do work. No. We're actually kicking ass right now. So I told you about the article we published yesterday. Today, our petition was mentioned in CNBC in an article by Annie Nova. Good for her. And talking about Biden's student loan cancellation plan. Quite frankly, I wish she would have quoted us on that because, folks, the most important thing I'm going to say to you tonight is that we are not even close to being finished with this struggle. It's been a 15-year struggle. We're getting much closer very quickly right now. But dudes, I'm sorry to be the heavy here, but the loan cancellation proposals we are currently hearing about from the Biden people, Biden surrogates, and others, guys, it's not good. It's just not good. Biden has pledged to cancel $10,000 per borrower, which sounds kind of good to some people, although the average borrower is shouldering something like $36,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. So even for the average borrower, we're not talking about really a big deal. The other proposal being floated is up to $50,000 loan cancellation by executive order. And guys, I'm just telling you, that is very, very, very problematic. You know, up to $50,000 could mean anything. And if 15 years of our very careful, scrupulous observations are any indicator of future behavior, when people say stuff like up to $50,000, it usually means that they have no intentions of doing anywhere close to $50,000. And see a comment here. Tracy Music sounds good. Just register for the town hall. Okay, good, Tracy. Glad to hear it. You guys are gonna love this town hall, by the way. It's gonna be super strong. But folks, we've been doing this for many years, and we can read through the lines. And we are a nonpartisan group. We don't hate, love Joe Biden. We don't hate, love Donald Trump. We don't have a dog in that fight. But we do have a wealth of experience looking at the student loan problem. And when people say up to $50,000, the red flags come out. And given Joe Biden's track record, at least on the student loan issue, and this is true for all politicians, quite frankly, including Elizabeth Warren, who we endorsed as president. We endorsed her. We endorsed Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. Couldn't quite endorse Joe Biden, but all politicians we will not trust further than we can bowl them. Because the one thing we've learned is that the student loan swamp, and those are my words, not President Trump's. I was writing about the student loan swamp literally decades ago. Student loan swamp will do everything possible to perpetuate this unconstitutional, viciously predatory, nationally threatening, and now catastrophically failed lending system. They will do everything possible to not give up anything and get everything. And so when I hear up to $50,000, that tells me that a lot of strings are going to be attached to whatever comes out the other side. And that the Department of Education will be put in charge of whatever loan cancellation program might result from all of this. And that is a horribly disturbing proposition, because the one thing that we know about the Department of Education is that they have no desire or intentions of canceling any loans. We've got any number of existing federal student loan cancellation programs already on the books, and a vanishingly small percentage of borrowers are actually getting their loans canceled. The overwhelming majority, like 99% of people trying for these various forgiveness programs, really they're cancellation programs, they're not getting their loans canceled. So we need to be on our toes, folks. We can't believe what we see at face value. We just can't. So we've got a lot of work to do, folks. And most of it, really, right now, at this moment, center around growing our petition. You know, there is true strength in numbers, folks. We're getting there. We're doing far better today than we were even 6 months ago. You know, 6 months ago, we had maybe 60, 70,000 people. Now we've got like 800,000 people across all of our platforms, most of those being on the petition. So I'm just saying that we have an increasingly large muscle to flex. But you know, we have, what, 750,000 people on the petition now. We should have 5, 10, 20 million people on that petition. The numbers are astonishingly good in our favor. There are 55 million people in the country who have student loans or are co-signed on them. 80% of them were never going to be able to repay their loans, even before the pandemic. So think about that, folks. That's 44 million people who should be on our side, who should be signing our petition. And these people are Republicans and Democrats and independents and anarchists, and they span the political spectrum. This should not be a partisan issue. It is not a partisan issue, I should say. So there is absolutely no reason we can't get 5, 10 million people on our petition. But it starts with you. You can't sit there and think that some imaginary person is going to pull your weight for you. When you don't do anything, nothing happens. We've learned that the hard way over 15 years of fighting. So if you care about getting these loans off your back, off the nation's back, and taken down as a threat that is going to wreck and destroy the lives and livelihoods of tens or even millions of people to follow in our footsteps, many who maybe even haven't even been born yet, then you will put some effort into growing this petition, folks. We are the only group that I'm aware of that is truly fighting for this. We were the first to be calling for this. We are the reason this is currently in the national spotlight. And I'm sorry to say, but the other groups that I have seen, there might be one that is not bad, but most of the groups that I have seen, they actually don't want to solve this problem. If they were to solve this problem, they would be out of a job. They want to grow their careers, build their institutions, and the last thing they want to do is to actually solve this problem. Well, with this group, that is the first and only thing we want to do. We want to get these loans gone for the good of the country, for the good of us, for the good of the tens or millions of people to follow in our footsteps. That's it. And when we succeed in that, we can take this banner down and put it in a museum. I can get on with my life. You can get on with your life. And we can all get on with our lives. So the most important thing right now, folks, is getting as many normal people onto our petition as we possibly can. And that starts with you. It starts with your word of mouth. So I'm not even going to sit here and tell you the millions of different things that you can do to help grow the petition. You can think for yourself. You've been to college. So like supposedly, hopefully you're maybe a little smarter, a little more clever than the average person. But, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how you can spread the word about the petition. We need you and you need us. And if we let the powers that be do their version of loan cancellation, the results will not be good, folks. You know, the supreme power of this whole thing resides with us, we the people, we the 55 million borrowers in the country who hold these loans. We control everything, whether we believe it or not. We do. And please, just believe me when I tell you that everything gets easier when we get more people onto the petition. It just does. So I'm hoping very much we can have 1 million people. Who knows? We could have 1 million people tomorrow. If everybody who signed the petition got even one person to sign, that would immediately double our numbers to 1.5 million people. We can do that in one day. So, you know, and that would be great. But don't count on someone else pulling your weight for you. It has to start with you. It has to. So please bear that in mind. I'm going to leave it there at that, folks. We are so busy. I'm in such a good mood right now. We're going to be doing interviews tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week with local and national media. We've got a whole bunch of stuff on our dance card filling up. I should say our dance card is filling up with interviews and so forth. Call the media, call local reporters. I said I wouldn't do this, but let me just throw out a couple of things that you can do that help a lot. Get 3 people that you know to sign. Call every local news station in your local area, your city, your state. Tell them to report on our petition. Give them my email address, justice@studentloanjustice.org. You don't have to answer the tough questions. We can do that. We've been sharpening this tool, this blade for many years. We can answer all of the tough questions. We love conservative media. We love liberal media. Everything in between. Do that. Make a story happen on our behalf. And I am very happy to stand up and answer the tough questions. Paying a little bit of money to the change.org people to promote the petition or boost the petition or whatever it is. If you pay like $25, It gets the petition shown like hundreds of times, 625 times. That usually will get us maybe 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 signatures. That helps tremendously. We get about a third of our signatures that way. We don't get any of that money, so there's nothing, don't worry about that. But, you know, be creative, think for yourself. Paste the link to the petition all over the place. Tweet the petition to famous people like celebrities and stuff, and ask them to show our petition some love by retweeting it or something. Stuff like that. And keep us posted as to how you do. You know, any results that you get, any accomplishments that you make, because we love to brag on that kind of stuff. The only way we're going to get anywhere is with your help, and that's just the fact. Don't count on the politicians to solve this problem for us. Don't count on the Washington, D.C. think tanks and student advocacy groups that are just completely faking it. Don't count on any of those people. Count on yourself. You know, people say pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, that is exactly what we are doing. You know, we're all we've got. But at the same time, folks, we're really all that we need. It starts with you. So let's have the best week in the history of this nearly 16-year-old organization, shall we? Pitch in, do your part. There's great strength in numbers. Let's make it happen. So good luck. God bless. Ed will be with you tomorrow. I'll be back on Wednesday. And Godspeed, everybody.